fever, pain, bleeding, vomiting, and fruit bats. These are a few words that describe one of the largest viruses in history. My name is Monique, and today I would like to introduce you to the world of Ebola. Many of you may remember the massive Ebola scare that took place in the United States in 2014. This foreign disease that had caused so much fatalities in West Africa was now scaring people within the United States. Let's go back to September of 2014, when the United States first encountered this deadly disease. When Liberian national Thomas Eric Duncan became sick and ultimately died from Ebola. This death sparked major concern and fear. After all, this was all new to the United States. What was equally interesting was how quickly Duncan had died. This timeline shows Duncan's last few days while carrying the Ebola virus. In order to understand the need for concern and caution, you must understand what is Ebola and what can this virus really do. Ebola, one of the deadliest diseases in history, is a rare disease that causes internal and external bleeding. As time progresses, individuals with the disease experience severe damage to not only their immune system, but also to their organs, which leads to uncontrollable bleeding. West Africans discovered Ebola in 1976 in the Democratic Republic of Congo, near the Ebola River, hence the name Ebola. It is believed that fruit bats were the first species to come in contact with the disease. Through these bats, the disease would then spread. You see, fruit bats was a common source of food for West Africans. They would feast on these bats, not knowing they were infected. Upon eating the bats, EVD spread almost instantly. Ebola can be transmitted in many ways, but the most common mode of transportation is by person-to-person contact. Once an individual becomes infected, they can immediately pass the disease on by touching someone. Other modes of transmission are via bodily fluids, such as blood, vomit, sweat, saliva, urine, breast milk, and even semen. Most individuals who are exposed to EVD exhibit symptoms within 2 to 21 days. This time frame is known as the incubation period. Symptoms of Ebola exposure include fever, fatigue, muscle pain, and headache. While there are other symptoms, these are normally the first signs of Ebola. As the virus progresses, these are more symptoms that someone with Ebola may experience: vomiting, diarrhea, rash, chest pain, red eye, just to name a few. The death of someone who has Ebola requires extra precaution. Normally, when someone with an infectious disease dies, the disease dies with them. Unfortunately, that does not apply to the Ebola virus. The blood remains in the body of the deceased even after death. Because the blood of the deceased remains in their body and it is still very contagious, the Center for Disease Control, also known as the CDC, strongly recommends these precautions be followed when the handling of a dead body is required. A leak-proof body bag should be used to transport the body. The body should not be embalmed. An autopsy must never be performed, and the body must be cremated. If cremation is not possible, the individual must be buried in a metal casket. Once the body has been cremated, the virus dies and can no longer be transmitted. This map shows, as of November 30th, 2014, the total number of Ebola cases and the total number of fatalities in West Africa. According to this map, Liberia has experienced the highest number of infections as well as the highest number of fatalities, followed by Sierra Leone. While the number of fatalities are strikingly high, there is still no FDA-approved cure for Ebola. However, there are several clinical trials in the making to find a cure for Ebola, one of which, known as ZMapp, was tested on 2 American nationals who had become infected with EVD. Both individuals were cured of this deadly disease. In conclusion, the Ebola virus disease is one that should never be taken lightly. This is clear due to the total number of infections within the single region of West Africa. Major precaution must be exercised to prevent the further spread of this deadly disease. Please be sure to follow the CDC recommendations regarding the spread and prevention of the Ebola virus disease. All updated information can be obtained via the Center for Disease Control website at www.cdc.gov.